Well, I'm with men's basketball coach and athletic director, Neil Ring. Coach, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for letting me be here, Johnny.
Well, let's talk. Let's go back to 2012. So long ago, it was the formation and the creation of everything that is Bruin athletics. So as you came in 2012, particularly putting your basketball coach hat on, what were some of the challenges you faced in starting a new program from scratch?
Yeah, I think the first thing was just the personnel. It was both coaching personnel and then playing personnel. I needed to hire a full-time assistant, and so I reached back into my contacts with a young man that I had coached against, actually, Andrew Wingreen, and we actually met at the Final Four, stayed together at the Final Four in New Orleans, and kind of worked through the what-ifs and, hey, how could this work? And it was a great time for us. And a little bit after that, he accepted the position. And then it was just a matter of finding players. And, we were blessed to bring in a transfer that I had coached against and Andrew had coached in Zach Mercado. And then we had two freshmen sign in Kyle and Ray. And so, that was kind of the foundation for us. And then we took basically tried to get the best of the intramural players that were on campus who wanted to try out and who wanted to be a part of the program, and we were off and running.
As you had both the responsibility of kind of casting the vision for the athletics department, what were the one or two things that you came in as a basketball coach saying, this is what our culture is going to be like in terms of coaching philosophy?
Yeah, basically we had a couple of goals. One of them was when they finished, we wanted them to be better men. I mean, that's really the things that we do are founded on that principle. We want them to be better men, and as we talked about our, what do we want our mantra to be? What do we want, 10 years from now as these guys are talking to their kids or maybe talking to a prospective student that they coach, in their team in high school, what do we want them to know about us? And one of the things we say is live Christ. And that's something that, as long as I'm here, that'll be the mantra, that'll be the rally cry for us, is that's our goal. It's to live Christ. And even in the midst of all of the turmoil of intercollegiate athletics and the pressure and all of that that's going on, we want to demonstrate Christ in the middle of all that, and we believe that that brings Him glory. We're not always successful at that, but that certainly is our effort. And so, we're trying to build on those two things, help them to be better men when they're done, and then teach them how to live Christ regardless of the circumstance.
You might have a student athlete that's watching this that maybe has heard the athletics pitch before from a coach. And there will be some student athlete experiences where they will hear a pitch and then go to that place and it's not what was given to them in terms of a pitch. So how do you as a coach ensure that what you say is backed up and actually fleshed out in your program?
Yeah, we are first and foremost a conservative Christian institution, and it's not just in words, it's in our actions. And so there's a social code, there's a code that we live by here, and it's expected that we're going to maintain that. Again, not to perfection, but simply the effort to try and do what is right. And I say to the guys all the time, be where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing. And we try to develop these young men in all areas of their life, so we expect them to go to class, we expect their participation in chapel, and if they don't do those things, then there's others come in and say, hey, you can't miss class, you can't miss chapel. We try to get them involved in community service, we try to get them involved in the churches that they're in, and it definitely is something where we want them to understand coming in who we are, and so we're very clear up front. We don't hide anything. We'll let them know when they get here. We walk them through everything before they get here, through their parents and each player. And if they come and they say, well, we didn't know that, they weren't listening, or they missed it somewhere, because we're very clear at the expectation in every aspect of the program.
The student athlete, as they come onto campus, I know one of the things that you emphasize is the discipleship that goes on within your program, both player to player, player to coach, player to fellow student. Talk a little bit more about that.
That's a university-wide thing. That starts at the top with our president. And his desire is for us to use the different platforms that God has given us throughout the university to be mentors, to be disciplers. And so in our program, we're very intentional about that. And we have a variety of programs that we do, where we do individual or small group discipleship things. We have team discipleship that we do. The guys will come over to my house. My wife and daughters love to cook, so they'll come over and eat, and that tends to get them there without any problem. And then we'll do some type of devotional time, discipleship time together as a group. We try to get them involved with each other, try to have them hold each other accountable when we're gone on breaks. So really it's a matter of just helping them to prepare for life away from the university by building good relationships that they're held accountable to, and experiencing the benefit of the biblical model of discipleship.
As you are looking at a student athlete, and I know there's hundreds and hundreds across the country that we look at, what are the one or two things that as a coach you look for in a student athlete?
It starts with character. We want to know that this individual is going to be a person of integrity, a person that has a desire to be in our environment and our culture, and is willing to put the work in spiritually and educationally, and just is willing to do what they're supposed to do. So it starts there. And then there's a lot of players that want to play basketball. What makes you different? How do you stand out? Are you significant in some way? I have the same speech that I give to every 5'10" to 6'3" player that comes through the door and wants to play. There's 400 of those kids on campus. How are you different than those 400 that would want to come out and play? So, we're looking for guys that have a great work ethic, willing to distinguish themselves by their work ethic. Obviously, guys that play the summer basketball, guys that play, in the higher levels of, schools, play in the state associations, those kinds of things. But some of the best recruits that I've ever gotten were from homeschool or were from, small, tiny little Christian schools. I've had a freshman before as a coach. I had a freshman start every game I coached. He was from a school that had, I think, 30 guys in it. So it's just, but again, it goes back to how are you going to be able to distinguish yourself from all of those other guys that want that spot on the roster.
As you look back over the course of the short time that the Bruins basketball team has been in existence, we've had a lot of highlights, a lot of up and downs of the program. But as you look back, what are the one or two things that you can attribute to the success of the program thus far?
Well, I think the consistency in the coaching staff. My staff and I we're going into, we've had numerous years together. And, I believe that together we're improving as a staff. So we're getting better in our scouting, and we're learning the teams in our region, all of that. So we're getting better. And I think that our players are developing and getting better each year. And I think one of the things that we can look at is that from day one to graduation, our players have improved. We're doing a lot of stuff at this level that not a lot of schools are doing, whether it's with video analysis, whether it's with analytics, those kinds of things. And I'm really excited about that. And that's on purpose, because we want to be the best coaches we can be, so we need the most information that we can get so that we can make the players the best that they can be. And so, we're very dialed in and committed to cutting edge technology with basketball, and continuing to look for ways to develop ourselves as coaches, to implement technology and particularly the analytics of the game into our practices and into our games. And that helps us in developing players and continuing to develop our program to where we're pretty close to being a consistently winning program every year. But I believe that the things that we're doing and we're continuing to do in adding technology, adding the different training equipment, the things that we have, it's not a typical for our level. It's not typical. So I'm very encouraged by that and believe it will continue to help us to be successful and grow.
Well, Bruins basketball certainly has a bright future ahead of it. Coach, thank you for the time.
Hey, thank you. Go Bruins.